I love dead. Hate living.
In case you pass out, that's tough.
Today we're wrapping up the 50s with one last return to the classic monsters with 1957's The Curse of Frankenstein by Hammer Films. Hammer Film Productions is a British-based movie studio that has made tons of movies but put its name on the horror map by making remakes of the classic Universal monsters like Dracula, The Mummy, and, as we're looking at today, Frankenstein. They made the films a lot more explicit, adding beautiful full color, blood, and sex. While The Curse of Frankenstein isn't the first Hammer horror movie, it is the first of the Universal reboots. Not only was it the public's introduction to this, but it's also mine, as I have never once seen any of these movies before working on this marathon. I heard that they were pretty good and important though, so let's see what all the hype is about. This movie is immediately different from the Universal version by having a young Frankenstein as the sole heir to his estate following his mother's death. And he uses his funds to hire a private tutor, a scientist named Paul. The two of them become close friends and work together, eventually figuring out how to reanimate the dead. They revive a dead dog, who they keep, so that's sweet, but Frankenstein gets ambitious and immediately wants to create his own person.
It's no longer sufficient to bring the dead back to life. We must create from the beginning. We must build up our own creature.
Paul wants nothing to do with it, while Frankenstein gives in to his obsession, and you can probably guess what happens from there. Frankenstein is an absolute asshole in this movie. He's cold, arrogant, and just straight up mean. He shows signs of madness early on and values nothing more than his work, more than willing to purchase body parts on the black market or even commit murder for his ambition.
Look out, Professor, look out!
He also cheats while being engaged to his cousin in a weird incest subplot, so that's just wrong all around.
I'm Elizabeth, Victor's cousin.
If I'm to marry him, then I have a right to know.
Mary.
Of course, we're engaged.
Frankenstein appears to be a much more advanced doctor than his Universal counterpart, creating his monster without any help through his own self-taught methods. His lab is pretty crude, and it seems like he's doing more with less, which I find interesting. Speaking of the monster, his reveal is pretty solid. What a great shot. The design is pretty good and goes in a different direction, but you just can't beat that iconic Jack Pierce look. New viewers like me may be surprised to find that this movie focuses entirely on Frankenstein himself, and the monster sort of feels like an afterthought. The monster doesn't have any sympathetic scenes and doesn't really go on a rampage or anything like the classic version. The craziest thing about him is that under all that makeup is none other than the great Sir Christopher Lee. Overall, I enjoyed The Curse of Frankenstein well enough. It's certainly on a smaller scale than the older films, but it's different and worth a watch. There's significantly more blood than people were used to at the time, which really pops with the new addition of full color. The color really makes a difference, and Hammer takes full advantage of it with bright, vibrant costumes and various liquids in the laboratory. There are also some great classical dramatic performances and line deliveries that are worth seeing.
Isn't the thing that's dead supposed to be dead for all time? Yet we've brought it back to life. We hold in the palms of our hands such secrets that have never been dreamed of.
If this is the start of Hammer horror, I can't wait to watch some more and see where it goes from here. And you know what? You should too.
Victor, where is this brain to come from?
I'll get it.
Dr. Frankenstein!
Pleasant nightmares, friend.
Good midnight to you.